Hi, and how are you? It's Bank Holiday Monday, 27th of May. I've just come to the brew shed. I've got a few jobs to do. Let's drop some yeast and trub from this fermenter here, and also from this fermenter on my left, your right. So I've got that to do this morning. Just need to catch up a bit. So what I'm going to be doing today is probably strip down the B40 and give it a good clean. I haven't done that for a while. I usually just clean it out every so often, but I just sometimes I need to strip it all down and make sure everything's uber clean. So I did try to brew, when was it, last weekend, and it's the first time I've ever done this. Let me just see if I can show you, just bear with me. Yeah, I forgot to put this in. This is the filter, the bottom filter. So I'd cleaned everything, put everything in, got the strike water up to temp, and started to dump in the grist. And I just looked to the left, and this was still in its stand, and I couldn't believe it. It was nearly as long to clean it out than it would have been to have a bloody brew day. Really, really cheesed off. So I still had the yeast in the fridge, fortunately, but thankfully I put this on, your own little recipe section on Malt Miller, where you produce your own recipe and you can just have it logged there. So it's just basically the kits there. This is one section. It's an oatmeal stout that I'm going to be doing. That's one piece, and then just the dark malts and custard malt, biscuit malt. I'll run through that with you when I do the brew day footage. So yeah, so I'm just going to have to get a clean on here. Dump both of these. Bit of a clean and tidy. It is now 25 to 12, not too far from beer o'clock. Yesterday I put a couple of my beers on, sorry I lie, it was Friday evening. I put a couple of kegs on the bar. So I've done a lager, and I've done an IPA. Now these were with some hops that I'd never heard. I think I've heard of one before, one hop, but most of the others were like packs that I had off a friendly brewery. So I'd never heard of most of them. So I had to look up to see what they could do and what they were used for. So I did a couple of beers, did a lager, and I did this IPA. We'll pop over when it's beer o'clock officially, just after midday for me, on a bank holiday. We'll draw a couple of drinks and have a chat about it, and also we'll chat about what I've been doing for the last 5 days. So I went on a Brewlab course, took a week off annual leave off my full-time job. I went and had a few lessons, and it was pretty good, to be fair, very good. Learned a hell of a lot. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. It's going to take me probably about an hour or so to get all this sorted, and then we'll have a chat. I'll probably leave the bits and bobs soaking, and then we'll have a drink and discuss and show you my certificates. Hi, welcome back. Here's the lager that I've done. It's only about 2 weeks old, so still a bit of a chill haze on it, but it tastes alright actually. It's yeah, tastes spot on. So yeah, a couple of hops that I used with this was Bobec, B-O-B-E-K, and what's the other one? Aurora. So put 30 grams of the Bobec. It's from a Styrian Golding strain, so I'd heard about that one, but not actually Bobec. itself. Put that in 30 grams of that in a 23 litre batch for 60 minutes in the boil. Then 10 minutes of Bobek again at 15 minutes, and then 50 grams of Aurora at hop stand 85 degrees. Let's just see. So I put 4 kilograms of Hannah malt in and 500 grams of Carahel Vermin, and it came out at quite a hefty 4.9%. OG was 1044 and FG 1007. I'm not a big lager drinker, but I don't mind it on a hot summer's day. It's quite a refreshing drink, isn't it? But I had a load of these packs, as I said, of different hops, and so I had to look up what they're used for, really, because I'd never heard of most of them, as I said. So I did this lager with it, and it's pretty good actually. And I used the Lallemand Nova Lager yeast with it, so very drinkable, to be fair. Even my partner, she says she likes it. Doesn't give that, you know, a massive bitterness taste in your mouth. I don't know if it's just the head has dissipated on it quite quickly, but it looks orangey on the camera actually, but it's quite a pale straw colour in real life. Does need to clear out. I've never used things to clear beer. I only cold crash and be done with it, really. So don't think I'll ever use anything to clear beers out. I'm not really fussed about it. They tend to clear up quite nicely anyway, just naturally, with a cold crash. So yeah, it's quite an enjoyable lager. Nice for a lovely day. Wasn't promising this sun today up in Anglesey, but it's a lovely day. So I did that beer. Didn't take any footage. I'm just going to have a look on what else I've done, just to give you an idea of the hops that I utilised in that one. Where am I? I did that lager as a Czech lager style. Excuse me. Just trying to find the other. Oh, here we are. So I did a pale ale as well. Let me just pause you. I'll get the pale ale out. Just bear with me. So there's the pale ale with the lager next to it. So there's the pale ale. Fantastic head on that. And the grist for that. So I don't know if any of you got onto it, but I'm sure it was Brewed had some special offers with grains. I think 50% down in price. So I went for an old heritage malt called Plumage Archer. It's about 4 EBC, and with this one I put some Carapils, Carafoam, and flaked wheat. Now, so the head retention's fantastic on that. And just dive in. It's quite malty aroma to it. Very easy drink. You could polish a few of them off in no problem at all. So that, I got that down to 4.1%. Excuse the dog barking. People are walking past. How dare they? So yeah, the hops that I utilised for this one was first edition was 5-minute boil Dana, 5 gram Dana, which were whole hops. Something that I've not used for quite some time. Then I put Styrian Wolf with it as well at 5 minutes. 30 minutes, we put 30 grams of Styrian Golding, 30 grams of Styrian Drag. Sorry, I made a mistake there, sorry. So 5 minute boil was Dana, 5 grams of Styrian Wolf at 5 minute boil, 30 minute aroma was 30 grams of Cardinal, 30 minutes of Styrian Dragon for the aroma, 25 grams of Dana and 25 grams of Styrian Wolf, also at 30 minutes. And they were at 80 degrees whirlpool. So yeah, it's not very hoppy as in aroma. It's more, I'm not sure if it's the Plumage Archer, which is quite a really malty, old style heritage grain that's taken over, but there's not much aroma in it at all, but very pleasant drink nonetheless. Just that little bitterness kick right in the back end. So yeah, those are the two beers that I did with the experimental hops, if you like. Would I do them again? Probably not the IPA, because I can get that done, but the lager, probably I'd do that again actually, if I can get hold of the hops. Quite nice, you know, nice to try a lager without having any, just experimenting really without having any of the noble hops involved in it. So yeah, quite enjoy that. Back to my lager. There's a bit of sulphur aroma to that, which I like in a lager myself. So yeah, those are the two beers. I do have a Marzen in. Excuse me, got a bit of a cold in the fermenter at the moment, so I'll do that. We'll talk about that next time. But yeah, so last week I went on a 5-day course held by Brewlab, and it was made by, well, I think the government sort of paid for it, the Welsh government. I don't think it's being done anywhere in England. I think I was very fortunate to get on there, and I think this course, you're looking at about 1,500 quid plus. Didn't have to pay a penny, just fuel to get there. 40 minutes away for me, so I'm very, very fortunate, and I'd like to thank Brewed for sponsoring me on that one. Really, it's really, really kind of them to do so. I've learned so much, really have. It was pretty intense. Started off about 9:15 in the morning. Some days didn't finish till 5:30, 4:30ish. But on the last day we got away about 2:30, I think it was, because we have tremendous amount of traffic on the road that I take to go home, because Anglesey is a bit of a holiday destination. Yeah, so back to this. You get a bit of a certificate at the end of each day. There were some people who just went on for maybe the 1 or 2. So day 1, brewing skills development, day 1, processes and raw materials. Get a certificate to show that. So we're just talking about the malts and the hops and how to work things out, how to work IBUs and stuff like that. I know we've got laptops and apps and stuff that does for us now, but it's, as you said, it's good to know how it's worked out actually. It's like not being able to count and going to the shop, buying something for 7 quid and you give them a tenner. You look down and you've got £1. If you didn't know that you were expecting 3 quid back, you just walk away 2 quid down, wouldn't you? So it was quite interesting how things are actually worked out, instead of just relying on hops all the time. On the apps all the time. So day 1 and day 2 really was about the actual brewing processes, fermentation, actually making the beer, if you like. So there's plenty of paperwork to come back, took notes, obviously, but yeah, so you get a certificate for each day, which is quite handy, and I got some good little snippets of information on all sorts of stuff about how the old fermentation is done, how it's done in the industry as such. When you come from a home brewing background like most of us do, you tend to just keep your knowledge quite narrow on our own little processes back home. But if you're planning on moving up and scaling up and maybe helping out in different breweries, it's really handy to get onto that. Third day was quality control, which always is handy as well, making sure that everything's clean and what to use just to get a consistent quality product basically. Day 4 was really, really interesting. Flavour evaluation, beer flavouring and analysis, and tasting procedures. If you're not aware what a diacetyl aroma is, it's very difficult for people. They can say it, you know, it's such and such and what have you, but until you've had that aroma. So they had like little pots, and they said cloves, diacetyl, they put some vinegar and stuff, you know, things that you know that can catch you out when you're having a brew day, and actually what actually made them as such. So if you had diacetyl aroma to it, they would explain to you what the fault was and how you try to get rid of it. There are some faults that you, once it's done, you can't get away from it. It's just like bin it or just drink and deal with it, especially, you know, the butterscotch and popcorny aroma you sometimes find when you're starting off. You just have to deal with it, don't you? But yeah, it was really, really interesting. And that was day 4. Day 5, yeast quality and management. I thought this was the next step for me. So last August, I started to create a yeast bank, reutilise my yeast into little vials. So I put some yeast in the vials with glycerine and freeze them. Now I had the opportunity to take 2 vials with me, defrosted it overnight, took them with me, put them underneath a microscope and to see if they were viable to use really, and find out what their vitality was. And thankfully both that I took with me were bob on. You could grow that yeast up with no problems at all, which I'm really happy about, because I was going to try and defrost one, build it up and put it in into one of my beers, into the wort, and just hope for the best. I now know I've got a good chance that it will produce proper yeast for me. They didn't look stressed at all, and there was no odd bacteria in the background. Didn't want to go into too depth, but there was some certain faults that you could find under the microscope. The problem is the microscopes are quite expensive. Whether or not I would, in homebrew circles, whether or not we would use that, I don't know. But the stuff that they had, you were looking at about 600 quid. But from a business point of view, it's fantastic, you know, just to get on the program, understand how to use that microscope, and hemocytometers and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. I would, if you get the opportunity, absolutely go for it. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Learned so much, to be honest with you. You think, you know, when you're home brewing, to begin with, you don't think this is going to get serious or anything. It's not that it's going to get serious for me, really. It's just I've just got a massively better understanding, even the terminologies, and understanding what they actually mean, instead of thinking, oh yeah, that must mean this, that must mean that. But really, really interesting nonetheless. But yeah, that's been my week. So hopefully in the next week I'm going to do that oatmeal stout and get cracking with that, really. Get back on the bandwagon with brewing again. Been a lovely weekend this weekend, so we had some barbecues and enjoyed some of these beers, and really got, you know, the bug back to get going again. So yeah, that's all for now, guys. Just thanks for watching, and hope I haven't bored you too much. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe and maybe give me a thumbs up.